Okay, guys, today I got one for you. How the last 18 months triggered a 100-year realignment. How long? There's a lot of people who think that everything's gone back to normal. Trump will be out of office, everything will return to the way it was. That's just not how life works. The last 18 months have changed everything. Connie was right. It wasn't just a minor thing. This is a rupture. This is a generational change, and it's bigger than you think. We're gonna break that down. All right, so for nearly 80 years, post-World War II ran on simple assumption America was the center of global trade, and its allies orbited around it. The system didn't collapse slowly, it snapped suddenly. Over the last 18 months, Trump's tariffs weren't just policy decisions, they were the trigger event for something much bigger, a century-scale realignment of global trade, consumer identity, geopolitical alliances. And here's the part almost nobody in the U.S. media acknowledges. Canada didn't get hurt. Canada pivoted. America did not. Canada didn't wait for Washington to come to its senses and replaced U.S. imports. It diversified supply chains. It built new partnerships across Europe, Asia, and the Pacific. And Canadian consumers and boomers, alpha generation, adopted instantly. This wasn't a boycott, it was a generational taste shift. Once people discovered alternatives, yes, it was a generational taste shift. Once people discovered alternatives they preferred, they don't go back. Not in 5 years, not in 50 years, not in 100 years. This is how the century-long habit forms. Here's the part you nail. Here's the part I nailed. All right, I'm writing my script. I should not write about myself in the third person. And it's not part nobody is talking. It's the part nobody is talking about. Generational consumer power is already shifting. Boomers comfortable switching brands. Gen X pragmatic, cost driven. Millennials global product exploration. Gen Z anti MAGA, pro global sovereignty minded. Gen Alpha 10 and up already influence family spending. Gen Beta incoming will build families in the world where U.S. brands are not default. This is the first time in modern history that three generations simultaneously shifted away from the American products. That's not a trend, that's a civilization pivot. By the time Gen Beta reaches full consumer power in late 2030 and 2040s, the new habits will be locked in. And by 2126, historians will say this was the moment North American economic center of gravity moved north. Chip. Um, American media keeps framing tariffs as pressure on Canada, but the real damage is internal. U.S. companies are losing market share. U.S. brands are losing generational loyalty. U.S. supply chains are losing stability. U.S. allies are losing trust. U.S. consumers paying more for less. U.S. policies and political leadership stuck in denial. The longer the GOP pretends this isn't happening, the deeper the century-long consequences become. This isn't reversible with one election, or one administration, or one policy shift. The U.S. is now structurally behind in the world. That is structurally moving on. Without the old world order of 80 years, it took 80 years to build. It took less than a decade to break it. And the new one will last more than 100 years because new supply chains are already built. New consumer habits are already formed. New alliances are already signed. New industries, AI, energy, minerals, are already shifting north and across the Pacific. Canada's Pacific pivot, European alignment, and mineral sovereignty strategies are not temporary moves. They are the foundation of the new century economic architecture. And the U.S. is no longer the anchor or almost hardly in the picture. Here's the hard truth. This isn't about Canada winning or America losing. It's about recognizing that the world is reorganizing itself for the next 100 years, and the U.S. is not the center of the map anymore. Canada didn't just survive the tariffs, it evolved past them. The generational shift from boomer to beta guarantees that the new world will last longer than the one we just left behind. The actual people who started the last world order are still living, and they're changing with it. So that'll tell you. This one is going to be far longer, far longer. This is not just a trade story, it's a generational story. The last 18 months didn't create a temporary dispute. It created a century-long shift in how Canadians buy, live, and align globally. The U.S. media still thinks this is about tariffs. It's not. It's about the end of the old world order and the birth of the new one. Like, follow, and subscribe for more. And we'll catch you again.